Hey everyone, just want to encourage you to find us on your listening platform and give us a rating. Anywhere you listen to that has a rating system, go on over and give us a rating and maybe leave us a review. Let us know your thoughts. These ratings really do help. Thank you so much for listening. On to this week's episode. It's a me, Nicole.
It's a me, Rolando. See, that I just didn't even come out natural.
Yeah, I hear the hesitancy in embracing your Mario, your Super Mario. It was not super.
It was not
super. Guys, we're just going to get into it. We're covering the Super Mario Brothers movie and Super Mario Brothers. And I'm excited for this because I'm a huge Mario fan. So let's just get into it. I am. And we're going to get into it after this. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Rolando.
And I'm Eddie Z.
And this is Remakes, Reboots, and Revivals.
An original podcast
about
unoriginality.
If you only could hear us stumble through that cold open now that Eddie is officially been promoted to co-host on this podcast after
how many years? 4 or 5?
3 years of 4 years of him trying out. We'll finally
passed
did
the audition. Yeah. So, listeners, if you are listening to this episode and you are listening to it live, it's a couple of changes. One, the date of release is a little different than you're used to. So instead of Thursday releases, we will be doing Friday releases. Friday Fun Day, right? TGIF. And also, Eddie Z is now finally our third official co-host, like we said. It's taken only 4 years. Congratulations, Eddie.
Eddie, do you feel any different?
No.
Speech.
No?
Speech.
I want a raise.
Okay.
Where's my raise?
Where's my pay? How about that?
Yeah. Join the club, Eddie. And we are back from our little mini break that we took in March.
Mini it was.
Yes, Rolando, I'm sure. Well, I wish it was longer. We always wish it was longer, but we're happy to be back, and we're excited for this topic. You know, Rolando, I mean, Eddie, I think you should just replace Rolando as my co-host. We don't
Considering
need him, right?
the feedback I have gotten in the past, I wouldn't be surprised if someone out there agrees with that sentiment.
Ooh, tea.
Yeah, Eddie, you're a fan favorite for sure. So congratulations. And wait, are we just going to get right into Super Mario Brothers? Because I wanted to talk some news.
Sure, talk some news before we get into it.
Before we get into it, we have some huge news that I'm dying to hear your opinion on.
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
I know what it is. Yeah, it's Harry
is
Potter,
getting a remake. It's going to be a decades-long series.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? What are your thoughts? Eddie, I know we talked about it. We were in Florida when the news started whispering, and Eddie and I were I was making lots of jokes about HBO's adaptation of Harry Potter because I feel like it's going to be hypersexualized. I'm thinking of Gossip Girl, Euphoria meets Magic, right? So I'm thinking, HBO will hire Shangela to be McGonagall, for example.
Wow, I would love them if they did that. I mean, that would be the point, right? If they're going to do it all over again within such a short period of time. It's just do it wild. Make it wild, right? Go sexual. Hire drag queens. Make everyone not white, right? That's the point, I would hope. My initial reaction was perplexed because I had not heard of anything. I saw the trailer and I was like, wait a minute. Is this a spinoff? Is this
you didn't? So you didn't even hear when the news officially, unofficially started coming out when I was reading about it and being Eddie, because we were in Disney World when we started reading about the news, the murmurs that were happening, because there had been a lot of talk that HBO is trying to figure out what to do with this franchise. We know that the Fantastic Beasts didn't perform so well, and they still have this great IP. Hogwarts Legacy, that video game, has actually been doing really well. There were talks of adapting that into a TV show, which I thought, okay, that's not a bad idea. It looks like there were also rumors in the past month that they were trying to get Emma Watson, the original cast, Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint as Grint back in the show to do, not in the show, but they were trying to have him do the sequel, The Cursed Child.
The Cursed Child, yeah, I've heard of
But
that.
Daniel
too.
Radcliffe and Emma Watson want nothing to do with the property if J.K. Rowling is still involved. And she's not going to let go of that IP anytime soon because her overall profitability has dropped since like a lot of boycotts have happened in the community.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of a kerfuffle. So when this news these whisperings started coming out, I was kind of like caught a little off guard. And I was just like, HBO, really? This is going to be like, what are they going to do that's different? And their initial talks said they were trying to make it like, HBO didn't even want to associate with J.K. Rowling. And they were trying to figure out like, oh, maybe we'll make it like an American version of Harry Potter or something. But I think she's still now going to be firmly attached to the project because she's not going to let go of that IP. And it's just going to be a good old-fashioned reboot.
I mean, I will be watching it. Let's just say that. Despite the fact that I'm confused, do we need it, have all these reservations, I'll be there the first night.
Yeah, it's so weird. We were just talking. We talked about this last night too, and kind of discussing like how very much that whole franchise permeates in our culture,
Still.
in our conversation.
Yeah.
Out of all the franchises that I connect with and enjoy, that one is something that I speak about at least on a daily basis. In some way, form, or fashion, it's either something that comes up on one of the reels on Instagram or some fun fact about the movies, or
Yeah.
we're playing Hogwarts Legacy right now, so we're like totally into that and watching YouTube videos about that. We just went to Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Rolando just bought his wand.
I got a wand from
Ooh.
Ollivander.
Yeah, and
What's it
And I
made
did
out
not
of?
get the personal treatment that anyone was promising. It was the most impersonal thing in my life.
You just picked
It
it
was-
like that.
It was
crowded.
it was a really busy week.
it was very crowded.
It was yeah, it
Spring
was
break.
No
It
one
was
was gonna
spring break.
ask him all the magical questions.
I was so upset about that. But I did get to try butterbeer.
How was it?
I thought it was really tasty. I actually I have looked up recipes on how to make it at home, so I'm going to try to make it one day.
Well, it sounds like it's improved since I've been there last, which was admittedly a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
yeah.
I had it was like a slushy form, the one that Eddie recommended.
the frozen
and it was,
one.
It's delicious.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds nice.
This frozen one, so it's nice. But so in the sense of like, there is still like merchandise, especially these actors that their faces are Harry, Ron, and Hermione's.
Yeah.
And this is like still kind of like it's still there. It's still growing. It's still a living force.
absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, and I just rewatched the first one, and because Eddie gets so mad at me when I'm playing
He plays
Hogwarts Legacy.
He has all these crazy questions. It's like, did you not see the movies? I
Oh
know
my
you
gosh.
probably didn't read the books, but come on.
Right, which I only passively watch the movies. I'm not a diehard Harry Potter stan. And I'm a fair weather fan at best. I watched it because my dad was a fan, and that's why I was watching them. But
Yeah.
even rewatching the first one, though, it still holds up. It's still fine. Like, maybe some of the CGI is a little aged, but for the most part, this movie, it's not like it desperately needs a remake. So
I agree.
I really hope that like HBO decides to do something really fantastical with it and just really cross some lines. Like let's make these characters like other colors and other sexual identities, and let's bring some trans and like queer representation. Really, really grind J.K. Rowling's gears, I feel like, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I thought Hogwarts Legacy was going to open the door to some different ideas or different stories within the world, but it's I'll take anything because I'm a Harry Potter stan. So, and I'm curious. So, and we will be covering it.
Yeah. Who knows when that's going to come out? Let's be very real.
Yeah, that's true. It was just the announcement. No date was set. But all right, so let's get into this week's topic, which is Super Mario. Video game wise, we've all played Super Mario, I'm sure, right? What versions have you played?
I played the original one on Nintendo. Well,
Okay.
I've technically played Jumpman also, but that was on an emulator. That's the
okay.
original.
Yeah, the first version. Yeah.
when he didn't even have a name. I played Donkey Kong in arcades. But yeah, my first game I ever played was like the Super Mario Brothers in. I think it was just called Super Mario on Nintendo
Got it. Okay.
Entertainment System.
Yeah, my first system I ever had was 64, and I got all the Mario games. I was obsessed. I had Super Mario 64. I had Mario Party, Mario Kart, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis.
I never played any of the Super Mario Brothers 3D games outside of the Mario Kart and Mario Party.
Oh, so you never played golf or tennis?
Or 64, like Mario 64.
You never played Mario 64?
I never have played Mario 64. I never played Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy, I think is the most recent one.
Yeah. Have you ever played Smash Brothers?
Oh, of course. No, I love Smash Brothers. It's not that
so
I
you
don't.
play
I guess I'm just not a fan of Mario. I'm a Zelda guy.
I'm a Mario girl. I mean, I kind of phased out of video games, but if somebody puts a 64 or any version of a Mario game in front of me, I'm like, let's fucking go. So
Yeah,
like,
I do like the
recently
fight.
played-
I like the multiplayer games.
Yes, me too. I recently played Mario Party on Nintendo Switch and had a lot of fun. But I'm very much like, I love the 64. And that's like, that's 90s kid prime, I think. Like, I think that was the height of Mario. For me, at least, of course, because I was the one who played those games and stuff, but still. And it was so popular in the late 80s and early 90s that they made a movie out of it. And it was one of the first big video game movie adaptations. And admittedly so, when the studio that made the movie, what was it?
Buena Vista?
Buena
No, they
Vista.
distributed. The production company that they just distributed. The production company was called Hollywood Pictures Leitmotiv.
Wow. Okay. So that studio, when they greenlit the movie that came out in 1993, they were like, we don't know what to do. And they actually gave the people who made this movie complete creative freedom.
It shows.
And because of that, we get one hell of a fucking movie with Super Mario Brothers in 1993, which I will tell you right now, I watched that movie obsessively as a child.
I didn't watch it obsessively. I've seen it as a child. I liked it as a child. I watched it as a teenager or young adult on psychedelics. And let me tell you, that movie holds up under the influence.
I'm sure. Now,
rewatching it as an adult, like someone who has studied film now and like has an understanding, I'm just gonna go out and say it still holds up. I don't know where the critical failure from this movie comes from. I think it's just hate.
Yeah, I think to think back in terms of the early 90s and the things that people didn't like then and the things that people did like then, like, has not aged well. Like, okay, for example, and maybe this might be a controversial opinion for some still, but I don't think Forrest Gump's that good a movie. I think it's a wildly overrated film, and yet everyone was heralding it as a masterpiece in 1994. Showgirls, I think is a great movie, and people thought it was a terrible film. Wait a minute, have you guys seen Showgirls?
Not recently.
Then you've seen Showgirls, Eddie?
I've seen Showgirls. I mean, it is a fun movie to watch, and I love it for all the corny, all the references you can get from it. You know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't.
If it's enjoyable, isn't it good?
It's no Forrest Gump,
Forrest Gump. So
it's to Showgirls,
those are my references. Can you come up with better ones, maybe?
We did Mortal Kombat, which I don't think came out that long after Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, like 2 years later. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like another video game adaptation, but that's another one that got like hated by critics.
Yeah.
But when we rewatch it, it's just like, I don't like, what was it to hate? Like, they delivered exactly what they were promising.
Yeah. It was brand new.
Yeah, the main critique I would say from the Super Mario Brothers film from 1993 is that, like, if you're expecting a Super Mario Brothers adaptation and to like kind of translate what you play in the games to real life, yeah, maybe it's not what you were expecting. But in retrospect, I think that's what makes this movie so kind of wonderful.
No, absolutely, I agree. And like, how else would you have approached like a plumber who has to rescue a princess from like dinosaur creatures? Like, that's They did with that alone. I think they did a tremendous job.
But the movie did scare Nintendo from releasing their IP for a long time.
It did, yeah, it did. Well, also this was a time where it was not cool to be a nerd. You know,
that's true. Yeah.
Superhero movies were not in yet. Like only Batman, really. Video game movies weren't even really a thing. So it was a different culture. Like the comic book character, the comic book guy in The Simpsons. That's how people thought of people who consumed this kind of stuff, like as fat, lonely people. And so I think
fat people with friends.
So now is just the time for it. And, you know, it's crazy because this movie's not available anywhere on the internet.
I know.
It's insane. It's disappeared.
I feel like Nintendo scrubbed it just in time for the new Super Mario Brothers film. Which is a shame.
It is
because it's just like, I don't think... I understand historically it's looked down on, but I think with new, fresh set of eyes, you can definitely appreciate this film.
Absolutely.
Like, this film... It's so over the top wacky, but like the fashion that they had in this movie is still like, I think it reminds me very much of like the fashion you would see on what's that film? The Fifth Element, right?
Yes,
like kind of Jean-Paul Gaultier type of outfits. Yes, and I think it's just like, but it was such a demented way to look at Super Mario Brothers, but I think it just works because it was so weird and so like out of the box.
Yeah, no,
it's so funny. When we had talked about this, I think last episode we mentioned, I was surprised to hear that you actually like the Super Mario movie from 1993 because I thought it was not going to be your cup of tea, and I was going to be here to like be the staunch defender, and here we are, just like both of us gushing over like, nah, this movie has it. This movie still has it.
I mean, this movie is just, it's wildly creative. So let's actually talk about what this movie's about. So according to Wikipedia, this is hilarious. Super Mario Brothers follows brothers Mario, which is true. I totally forgot that the last name was Mario. I love
and
that
Luigi
writing.
Mario.
We're just going to call them Mario. And Luigi Mario, who are brothers, even though in the movie it's like he refers to Mario as also like his mom.
It's I think they're both orphans.
Yeah.
And they kind of like raised each other. Well, I think Mario more so took like that big brotherly role over Luigi.
Yes. And and they're played by Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo, who
was such a snack. Good God.
Okay, so like John Leguizamo, I feel like this is his movie more than it is Bob Hoskins, which is crazy because it's Mario.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, he kind of, Bob Hoskins, love him, respect him in so many movies as in my youth, but it feels very one note for him in terms of he's just like playing a curmudgeon-y older Italian American. Whereas Luigi is just, he's a well built out character as portrayed by John Leguizamo.
Yeah, and I think it's for sure it's the first time I because I didn't know who John Leguizamo was when I first saw this film, and it's so funny because he's such an underrated actor. I feel bad for him sometimes because like I think sometimes when he dedicates himself to a performance, he's good. Like he's a really solid actor. It's just a shame that his career never really like blew up.
Yeah, do you think it's the choices he made? Do you think it's because he's Latino? Like, what do you think it is?
I mean, he's a very outspoken Latino, and sometimes that has gotten him in trouble, even with the
but he's done
Hispanic
so
community.
Much, though. I mean, writing, but he did face stuff too, like levels of discrimination.
Yes, he
I
did.
remember one story that he told that he was supposed to be. So he was originally casted. I can't think of the movie right now. I think it was a military movie that he was in. So he was originally casted a more prominent role, right? So before filming started, he was like out on the beach, out getting sun, let's just say. And his father said, "Don't get too dark. Don't get too dark." And he got dark. And when he went, they said, "No, we're gonna recast you." And they gave him a different role, a little bit lesser.
He's Puerto Rican, right?
He's Puerto Rican, Cuban, I think. He's
okay.
Ooh, is he? Now here's the thing. I remember like everyone thought he was Puerto Rican, but isn't he Colombian?
Oh, I'm not 1,000,000% sure. I mean, Leguizamo doesn't sound like a very Hispanic.
He's Colombian. He's Colombian.
He's Colombian. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like deceived a little bit
Was
because
he raised in Puerto Rico though?
or something like because like
there's
his
this common
one man show.
misperception that he's Puerto Rican, but he's Colombian.
That one man show that we saw of his that Eddie took me for my birthday, the Hispanic Untold History of Hispanic. Oh, what? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Latin History for Morons.
That's it. Latino history or Latin history for morons. I could have sworn that he mentioned he was Puerto Rican and stuff. Maybe it's just part of his shtick.
Maybe, yeah. And now he's. It actually says that he did an ancestry test and he doesn't have any Puerto Rican blood in him, which is kind of hilarious. But okay, so Mario, and Luigi Mario have a quest to rescue Princess Daisy, even though when we meet her, she's not a princess. She's a student paleontologist. And they want to rescue her from a dystopic parallel universe ruled by the ruthless King Koopa, played by Dennis Hopper. And Daisy, played by Samantha Mathis.
Dennis Hopper as King Koopa. Did you get Trump vibes post?
I definitely got
now?
oh my gosh, you can never say this word. Totalitarian.
Totalitarian.
There you go. Thank you. I got those vibes.
He was definitely totalitarian, but I mean, like literally the way he looked, like the bleach blonde hair, and then like the
I see it.
over bronze. like now in retrospect, I'm just like, yo, was Trump trying to live out his King Koopa fantasy?
I imagine
as president.
I mean, hey, King Koopa was, I'm sure, an inspiration on his vision board. I mean, the people who made this film, they wanted this film to be more like Wizard of Oz and Ghostbusters, right? They wanted it to be subversive and they wanted it to be fantastical, but they also wanted it to be funny and for all ages. And I think that blend of genres is why the movie did not do very well, because a lot of the criticisms that it got was that it's a very inconsistent film. Like the film doesn't know what kind of film it wants to be.
Which
and
I think that's... what are you going to say?
I find that interesting. I mean, valid perhaps, but I think the movie kind of knows exactly what it's doing.
I think I would agree with that inconsistency thing, where I think because they were trying to tread that line of being like family friendly, and if they had kind of like let go of like, it's just like, nah, we're going to go with like a PG-13 rating or like R, heaven forbid. I don't think Nintendo would have gone for that. But if they had gone that route, I think it might have been better. But who knows? This is retrospect,
Not
right? Like
financially better or like creatively better?
Creatively a little better, right? If they weren't maybe, or either that, or they would have, or to not to say that like just because it has curse words and it can be raunchy, it makes it a better film. You could, or if you just gave yourself those full restraints.
Got it. Yeah.
And kind of work around, like, you know, to be like an absolute, because you can make a family-friendly film and still be very, very tongue-in-cheek with like the jokes. You can.
Yeah.
Shrek comes to mind, right?
Yep. And no, really good point. I mean, this movie was a complete failure, and another criticism that it got was that it was not very faithful to the source material, which baffles me because what source material? There's no story to Mario.
Well, I mean, what year was this? This was 1993. So what games had come out by 1993?
Well, Zelda had come out, like you said.
No, I'm talking. I meant
Mario games? Everything
games.
Before 64. So I guess just like the regular Super Mario.
Wait, Super Mario World already came out?
Yeah, Super Mario World came out in 1990.
Wow. Okay, so all right, but Super Mario World also gave. Oh, that makes sense because Yoshi. We saw Yoshi. The Super Mario World had kind of some lore already, where we know Princess. We know the Mushroom Kingdom. We know.
Yeah, we know that there's a kingdom that's not, I guess, Brooklyn.
We know Bowser's always kidnapping her.
Yeah, but that's about it. Like, how did Mario get there? Why is this Italian?
That's true. Yeah, like all those were always up for our imagination. It's just like he's just here.
Yeah.
Do you know why he's a plumber?
Why is he a plumber?
The reason he's a plumber was because the creator of the game, I think Miyamoto is his last name.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. When they were creating the game and they wanted to create like an American-based character, they thought the most American job they could think of was plumber, and that's why he is a plumber.
That is so weird. I mean, I thought they had plumbers everywhere, but okay, that's funny.
Well, they felt like the most American job to them. I also
the most
don't
average.
think, if I remember correctly, I don't think anywhere was he supposed to be Italian. I think that's just something that kind of just came up in the American marketing of the game.
Oh, or like when the actor took... Okay, interesting.
Yeah. And the same thing, like the reason he has a mustache is because for the graphics, in order to differentiate the face a little, they created the mustache to help like kind of create that illusion of a face.
Well, so this movie has a really simple plot technically. 65 million years ago, when the comet and the meteorite hit Earth and killed the dinosaurs, actually what it did was that it split the universe into two parallel dimensions. So there's our world, and beneath it is, or in a different dimension, but like not on top, is a weird humanoid race that's combined of dinosaurs and people, which is Dino Hatton.
Yeah.
Then flash forward to the 70s, where a human girl born in an egg is left at a Catholic orphanage with a magical rock around her neck. And 20 years later, she grows up to be Daisy, the paleontologist girl, who then meets Luigi, randomly when the Scapelli guys are threatening to close down her site.
Mm-hmm.
And while trying to rescue her from two henchmen from Dino Hatton, Mario and Luigi then go into the parallel universe, and they pretty much are trying to save her the whole time. And all this stuff happens within the parallel universe, where they meet Koopas and weird dinosaur-looking creatures, and the
Goombas,
and they meet people who like can fly with these cool platform shoes, and just like lots of stuff happens. Fungus. I'll never forget Fungus. Like when we watched that scene, it brought back so many memories.
Fungus was gross. That was the king. They devolved him and he became Fungus.
Yeah.
And the king is also Daisy's dad. So she is officially a princess.
Officially, yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's, I mean, we don't want to get too much caught up in plot.
You gave us a good summary. Like,
that's pretty much
Mario and Luigi saved the day.
Of course. And again, like I said, this is John Leguizamo's movie. I think he and Samantha Mathis have pretty good chemistry.
I would agree.
I think he's a more, like I said, fleshed out character where they just kind of reduce Mario to a stereotype. Especially with, I don't know, they make him more of like that stereotypical Brooklyn guy, especially with like his girlfriend, and he's got like his open shirt and his chest hair.
Yeah.
And they're eating pasta in the beginning. I'm watching this movie, which was a torrent rip. Thank you to Levi for that, because it's not anywhere available on the internet. It just, again, like, I'm really biased because I watched this film so much growing up. So all I did was watch it through the lens of me, 8 years old. Yeah,
right.
My 8-year-old self. So I know that about me, and that I think I'm going to view it differently always. But I still think this is a wildly creative movie.
No, it is. I think
it's also got a really good message about the political systems and stuff, because like he is a tyrant, Koopa. He is like completely ruling Dino Hatton with the tyrannical fist, right? So it actually has something interesting to say about about leaders and corruption. I'm sorry, I cut you off, but
I just think now you're reaching for like some depth here that the movie, like it's there. That's still like a pretty base, like assessment of like political systems, right? Like it's not,
it doesn't go deep here, but it's like, hey, they bring in a lot of stuff that also is like recognizable and not only identifiable, but you can like resonate with it. Like, oh, I know exactly what that is.
Right.
I get it.
So for me, when I first watched it as a kid, I liked the movie. I thought it was fun, right? But then, you go through college, you learn film school and stuff, and then people were talking down about the movie, and I thought it's just like, oh yeah, I guess I must have just remembered it as a kid, and it was a bad movie. But then I saw it on a psychedelic trip, and let me tell you, I was just like, oh no, this movie is so good, because I think for me, it's about the fashion. I think the style that they chose to imagine Manhattan was so far out and just wacky and weird, and I was just like, it's kind of like a little grunge. It's a little avant-garde. It was just weird, and the character design for some of the villains was another interesting choice that I think they went, right? How do you represent Koopas and Goombas, right? You turn them into like these like 8-foot humanoids with like lizard face and stuff, and it's weird. It's just a weird visual, but it works for this world,
Yeah, no, 100%. And even like, I mean, they really go wild with the dinosaur thing. 1993 was just such a year for dinosaurs
Yeah.
in movie going public. But it's interesting too because their approach on Yoshi
Mm-hmm.
is like a vivid memory from my childhood, like her relationship with like her pet dinosaur, who I totally didn't realize until now was Yoshi. And is honestly like I would love to watch that high because I think it would make me cry. Like,
Well, I remember because I watched it with a group of friends, and my reaction was like, "God, I wanted a dinosaur so bad." When I
hell
saw
yeah.
this movie, and they were all just like, everyone who saw this movie wanted a pet dinosaur like Yoshi.
Seriously, maybe that's why like I subconsciously always choose Yoshi whenever I play Mario
Yeah.
Party.
And that animatronic still holds up. Like that was an effective use of character design for
yeah.
this film. Where again, this is the problem with CGI. Like you don't get that like when Fiona Shaw stabs the Yoshi, you feel it and you feel so
Yep.
bad, and you know.
Yep.
You don't get that really anymore when you're working with CGI. So that's the other thing. Fiona Shaw is in this movie, who I think, in retrospect, gave the best performance of this entire film as the villainess.
She did very
Lena.
well. Yes.
And I was blown away when I realized, like, oh my god, it's the woman from Killing Eve and Harry Potter.
Yes, and Home Alone too. She
What?
Yeah, she.
Who is she in Home Alone 2?
She was one of the workers at the hotel with Tim
Oh.
Curry.
I don't remember her there, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie in forever.
That was another movie I watched a lot growing up. Yeah, I mean, it took 9 people to operate that Yoshi, by the way.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
That's
impressive.
well worth an investment there. Like that.
Yeah.
Because that feels even when I was rewatching it, it still holds up. It still feels real. It still, sometimes animatronics can look cheesy. That was not one of those cases. Like that one, I think it was good design because they made this character Yoshi feel like a pet. Like it wasn't threatening. Right? Because I remember the other dinosaurs I had seen, I don't know if I had seen it by then, but was Jurassic Park dinosaurs, which were terrifying. So you had this one that looks like this nice, almost like a pet dog.
Yes. Ugh.
And then the other thing I just realized as an adult watching this is like all the references that you have from the original game and like the lore of Mario is there. You have the bombs, you have call outs to Thwomp.
Toad is there.
Toad, who I never realized it was until this rewatch. I'm just like, oh, that's supposed to be Toad. I didn't know this. Peach, I never realized until doing my research was that I thought Peach came out of this film, but she was already a character in the Super Mario world as a character. Peach, not Peach. I'm sorry, Daisy.
Daisy. Yeah.
I thought. You know how we have Daisy now in like tennis and stuff and like Super Mario Party. I thought that was a creation like honoring her, but I was wrong. She existed in the Super Mario lore, and that's just a princess they decided to use instead of Peach. I think the main reason is because they wanted the love interest to be with John Leguizamo.
Luigi. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. It holds up in terms of Super Mario logic all these years later.
It does.
That's crazy. And this movie ends with a cliffhanger. And we never got that movie.
Right. Which is a shame. Well, I don't know if we needed a franchise, but I would have been okay revisiting the world. I forgot to mention, my favorite part about the film is when you see the dinosaur King Koopa in like kind of that like rounded barrel type thing, because it's a callback to one of his iconic looks in Super Mario World where he's like in that flying thing throwing bombs to your character. Yeah,
Really?
like that's what it's supposed to like visually look like. It's supposed to be like that. I'll put this in the show notes, a link to the picture, but what this character
please do.
is supposed to look like. But I thought it was great, and I remember that dinosaur scared me. The CGI does not hold up, but scared me as a kid.
Wow.
It was so weird.
Yeah, as someone who again really played 64, that would have gone over my head. But I got a lot of the references in the new Super Mario Brothers movie.
Which there were plenty.
There were plenty. Super Mario Brothers movie 2023 from Illumination, which also did The Grinch and Despicable Me and The Secret Life of Pets. I know this because they reminded me that in a trailer before the movie for a new movie coming out called Migration. which I thought was a really hyped up trailer that kind of was like, really? That's what this is about?
I don't remember seeing that trailer, but okay.
I saw it at my theater in AMC. I don't know if Carasotis played it. But anyway, so Illumination animation film, and it is the most successful film so far of 2023. It beat out Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, so Disney is not looking good in terms of the fact that this friggin' animated movie like blew them out of the water opening weekend.
Disney has time to catch up. I don't know what
They'll
have.
be fine.
And this, like, yeah, I'm not.
It's just not looking good for Marvel.
Disney's not hurting.
Yeah, Marvel is just not the king anymore, but it's
fine.
Happens.
You know,
it happens.
The crown gets moved. I mean,
yeah.
They weren't the king last year, right? Like, wasn't it Top Gun?
That was
or
Paramount.
Avatar.
No, Top Gun last year. So far, Avatar is the highest grossing film this year. So
okay, yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. So also distributed by Universal Pictures, because Universal has an agreement with Nintendo. That's because Super Nintendo World opened up at Universal Parks and Resorts. It hadn't opened up at your Universal. Is it just
not yet?
California?
No. So that's going to be part of the Universal universe that's being built at the moment, which I can't wait. Seriously. I'm so looking forward to this theme park. Like, I'm not a Disney adult, but I do love Disney theme parks, and I had the time of my life in Disney World. But Universal has way better roller coasters, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
There you go.
They're giving Disney a run for their money.
Is Super Mario going to have a roller coaster?
King Kong is going to have a roller coaster, but they're creating they're creating Nintendo Land, like the one based out of Asia.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So
I think Super Mario is like, it's back right now with the fact that this movie came out and the world is opening up in terms of in America.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have a lot of momentum right now, and that IP is strong, and people are feeling it. People love it. And so when I went and saw this movie on a Tuesday, it was packed, and people were yelling at the trailers, being like, Mario! Like, they didn't want to even see the trailers. They came for Mario.
Well, I couldn't see the movie on Tuesday because they were all sold out. Yeah,
seriously?
We had to pay full price and go yesterday.
Holy, look at that!
And let me tell you how mad I am about paying full price, because I'm going to say this once and I'll say it again. I've said it once. I'll say it again. People don't know how to act and like behave in a theater. Like, I swear to God, the people next to Eddie would not shut the fuck up during the film. They're so fucking rude. It's so annoying.
Oh, damn. I know, yeah. People are forgetting etiquette, unfortunately.
Like, it's like, yo, like, I know you paid your price for your tickets and you have a group of like 8 people, but like, so did we. So just shut up. Like, just shut up.
Oh, God.
They were also Hispanic, which made me want to just even like throw popcorn at them more so, because I'm just like, you're the reason why white people say the dumb shit about us that they do.
All right, moving on.
Babe. Pull it back.
So this movie
I can say that I'm Hispanic.
You can. This movie has set records. It's the biggest opening weekend for an animated film, and it's the highest grossing film based on a video game. So this movie, it's doing exceptionally well.
It's a good time for video games, I gotta say. Like, The Last of Us, this film.
I think they finally figured it out. Maybe. Yeah,
although Uncharted I don't think Uncharted was done well critically, but I think it did well in the box office.
It did well. Yeah, it didn't do amazingly, but it did well. Yeah, I mean, let's go get right into it. So again, we have Italian American brothers, Mario and Luigi, and they're plumbers in Brooklyn. I thought they were like grown ass men, but apparently they're of a young age because they live at home with their family and they sit
doesn't mean anything.
Dinner table. But they sit at the dinner
2023,
table with the father being like, "What are you doing with your life?" And he's like, "Dad." And like, it just felt so like teenager-ish. I'm like, how old is Mario that he's sitting here letting his father talk to him? Like, it felt so young person.
I did like whisper
this
to Eddie.
Trope.
I asked Eddie, I'm like, Eddie, wait, how old are these Mario Brothers supposed to be? He said very confidently to me, how old did you say they're supposed to be?
In their 20s, in their early 20s.
Did you know this for a fact? Or you said it so confidently that it's like you read it.
This is just kind of like the dynamic. Like,
all right, the mature like face and living at home and yeah. Yeah,
Hipsters with mustaches.
Yeah,
living in
a
Brooklyn.
hairy 20-year-old with like a
who's
mustache.
who's
It's not
gonna
that
who's gonna afford an
far-fetched.
apartment in Brooklyn?
That's true.
You know that either your parents own it or is rent control.
And we
Yeah.
know it's not like this imaginary Brooklyn of where like where we see classified, because we know the gentrification has happened, at least because when one of the houses they go to see is like this
Yes.
luxury house, home.
So I think that house actually is real. That apartment
Oh,
building.
really?
I think
Wow.
so. I feel like I've seen it. It's because it has a very distinct look to it. Like it's like these boxes and glass.
Yeah. Well, so needless to say, they are plumbers, and it's not doing so well, to the point where their father's like, "What are you doing, man? Like, you had a great job, and you're going for this whole plumbing business. Look at your life. Look at your choices."
I
And-
wish they had told me what his previous job was. That's the one thing I had no
So
clarification on.
I thought
That's
he was
true.
I think he was working for that guy, the one that was harassing
Spike.
him in the
But
Yeah.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Which
But there's also
was
a
also-
plumber.
I don't know.
Was he?
I wasn't paying attention to what he was doing for his job, because I was like, oh, he's modeled after the original Mario, right? Am I like seeing
Spike?
things, or was Spike like modeled after the original iteration of Mario?
The
Like,
Jump
before-
Man?
I think so. Yeah,
I didn't catch that. Maybe.
maybe. Okay. Well,
I feel like his uncle, though, might have been the voice actor that. I remember when they cast Chris Pratt
Yeah.
as Mario, there was a big stink about it. I don't
Big
disagree,
stink.
but he wasn't bad. He got a lot of hate for no reason, because like watching it was just like, oh, it worked. But I do think that they did bring one of those Mario voices to do
to do like a cameo. Or
one of the
something.
cameos as like the uncles or something.
Got
I can't
it.
confirm that, but it did sound very much like one of those like like it's one of those N64 Mario. Ha ha!
Which, speaking of, let's talk about the Chris Pratt drama. People were upset because they're going to talk like regular American boys. And honestly, would you have made them talk with Italian accents? Wouldn't that have been a bad idea?
Well, yeah, no, I think having them talk with Italian accents might have been disingenuous.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I would.
Maybe giving them like really thought out Brooklyn accents would have been a better choice.
Yeah,
I
right?
think
Yeah.
just like Bob Hoskins trying to do like that Brooklyn thing
Hey yo,
in his film.
what does a Brooklyn accent sound like, babe?
Good question.
Like, oh, I'm thinking of like Joey from Friends,
Like
which is a
coffee?
dated reference, right? Like that. I don't. Maybe Italians don't sound like that post gentrification. So
This is true. Yeah, there are no native Brooklyners anymore. So in the commercial that they filmed, they have like classic Italian American Brooklyn accents, but then it transitions
Right.
them in real life, and they just put it on to like sell themselves, which I thought was okay, cute, right?
yeah,
Like the image of Mario, but really in real life, Mario's just an average, not
Yep.
Italian American person. So, so pretty much something happens where there's this massive manhole leak in Brooklyn, and Mario's like, "This is my opportunity to prove myself as a plumber. That I, dragged my poor little brother along with me in something that was worth it." And of course, when he goes and he attempts to do it, not only, he fails, but instead he actually gets sucked into a warp pipe and sucked into another dimension. And while they are going in this dimension, although Mario tells Luigi nothing can happen as long as we're together, they get separated.
they do. Yes.
And Mario lands in Mushroom Kingdom, whereas Luigi lands in
The
a different
Dark Lands.
kingdom, which is the Dark Lands, which has been completely disseminated by Bowser. And we've
AKA
learned,
King Koopa. They are the same character.
aka King Koopa. And Bowser, we learned, has an agenda to capture the stars of all the lands so that he can marry Peach because he's in love with Peach.
Right. What an interesting character choice for Bowser, in my opinion. I'm not saying it didn't work. I'm just saying hearing Jack Black belted out his obsession with Peach, hilarious in my opinion. Like,
Pretty funny, that song.
let's just get this off. Get this saying. Like Bowser's performance was one of the best things of this film, easily, because Jack Black is so good. He's so good at at controlling his voice and like emoting with his voice. I thought he was wonderful.
Yeah. Peaches, 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 peaches. I mean, it was so stupid that it was so funny.
Which is, sometimes that's all you need to be funny. It's just like, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's it. I mean, like, Bowser's like this evil lord, but he just really wants love.
Yeah.
So, and of course, Peach does not reciprocate. Peach is the princess of Mushroom Kingdom, and we come to learn that actually she ended up in this world as a baby. We don't know quite under the circumstances where she was brought into it, but she could possibly be a human being just like Mario because of this dimension where she's at. There's not a lot of human beings around. So
I don't think there's any human beings around.
I mean, other than Peach.
Yeah.
If
I
she
mean,
is indeed
unless they
a
bring
human.
unless they bring Daisy. Oh my god, maybe Wario and Waluigi will show up.
It's a me, a Wario. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. I was like sitting there thinking about all the ways that they could approach the sequel.
Right. Me too. Because you know it's coming.
Oh, yeah, you know it's coming. Yeah. And then,
wait, did you stay for the after credit scene?
I stayed for the first one, not the second one.
Okay, we'll talk. We'll keep talking.
Okay, so pretty much Bowser is on a mission to destroy, and Peach is like, well, we got to go and recruit help. So they go to the Jungle Kingdom to get the help from the Kongs, and they actually eventually get the help of Donkey Kong. And Toad is a character who tags along for all of this, and yeah, pretty much that's it. I mean, this is hardcore referencing 90s kid Mario games. I mean, I'm sure all of these characters are still in the Mario franchises that people of all ages play in these video games. But this is like anyone who played in the 90s and stopped playing will get more than half of these movies references.
Yeah.
Which I think was the main thing about the movie for me. Whatever the plot was, like every other minute was a reference, whether it was a music cue or a little character or like having Mario just randomly go, woohoo! Or just making a noise that I identified. And I was just like, as a Mario fan who grew up loving these games. Was just
so you're saying you watched this again as a child?
What?
Did you watch this again basically through the eyes of a child?
Yes. I pretty much watched this as 8-year-old me playing Mario 64.
Yeah.
When I saw the star, I was like,
I came in very critically, right? I did come in hot for this film, but it won me over. I think the animation in this film is so spectacular. I think it's such a beautiful looking film.
They did a good job.
And it's wild because like in terms of character design, like they just stuck to the character designs that we know and love. But like the way they animated things to look, I think it was so vibrant, it was so colorful. Bowser was my favorite character, but I also love what they did with Donkey Kong. And it was a different iteration of Donkey Kong that I have seen, because the last iteration of Donkey Kong I had seen was the one based off of the N64 game, Donkey Kong Country 64, which also spun off like a TV show. I don't know if you ever saw it, like growing up. Like it was like a 3D animated. Saw the show. Yeah, it was a 3D animated show. I used to watch it. Because I think Donkey Kong is one of my favorite characters, and I thought I wasn't going to like Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, and like the character that they created was kind of like this, you know, he was kind of like a vapid character, all into like showboating, but he has like daddy issues, similar to Mario. But I think by the end, he kind of really won me over. I think it was like a very, very like sweet little story within this character that they were able to kind of explore. Especially considering like how fast this movie just runs. It's like, it's a short film.
It's a really fast movie, yeah.
And it's just like moving at such a fast pace. But you know what? Like, I mean, for the animation style, it's okay. Like, right? Like, it's...
Yeah.
It doesn't feel... I didn't have time to breathe when watching this film. But that is okay because of, like... It felt like an ADHD, like, fuel, basically.
Okay.
I mean, there was so much happening.
ADHD fuel, yeah. I mean, so story-wise, it's fine.
Yeah,
right.
It's there.
It's fine. There's a couple beats that are missing. Whatever. My biggest criticism is that Luigi's gone for half the movie. Like, you know, we could have had Luigi there.
We could, especially because I did like Charlie Day playing Luigi. Like Charlie Day's another one who's he's able to like emote like the fear and like kind of the indecisiveness that is
Yeah.
I don't know. We started associating that with Luigi after Luigi's Mansion. I've played that one before. That's a cute game.
Luigi's Mansion. That's what I thought they were gonna do when he went into the Darklands. I was
Right.
like, oh, but they didn't really go there.
They gave us our references. They gave us like things from the game. It felt like, but I think the smartest choice though, to that point of like keeping Luigi so far, was making Mario have to rescue his brother is kind of the thing that I liked about this film. I was just like, oh, remember Frozen, where like the power of love wasn't another man she needed, it was her sister.
Yeah.
And this was similar in that sense. Like this wasn't a romance story. Like, yeah, like Mario has a thing for Peach, but like this is ultimately he's trying to save his brother. That's his first and foremost goal. And I like that. I came out saying, like, that was really sweet. And even Eddie was like on the edge of his seat when like Luigi almost died. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah, when he almost got burnt. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, what was that character? That existential...
The star? I don't know
nihilistic-
where that character comes from, but I loved him. It
Yeah,
was so
he was
funny.
another scene stealer. I was like, this is kind of dark.
It was.
Should.
But it was good juxtaposition to because it's such a sweet and cute character design, and then
Yeah.
it had like these really dark thoughts that
Yeah, seriously.
I guess you would have, like, if you've been captured by Bowser for how long, Lord knows how long, right? Like,
Yeah, that's when it got like oddly realistic. Like, well, they're gonna lose their mind and if they're in these prison cages. Yeah, I mean, it was good. Like I said, as a story, it's fine in terms of it did what it set out to do, which is make me nostalgic for the game and want to play the game and like overly sell the IP of Mario, right? Like that movie had a straight up agenda for all ages. And in that sense, like it totally succeeded because I'm sure Mario merchandise is going to skyrocket now.
oh, I am considering buying the new Super Mario game so I could play Super Mario.
There you go.
Galaxy. I haven't played it. I hear it's good. I might check it out because the movie really, really made me want to play a Super Mario game in a way that I haven't felt since I was a child. Like my favorite Mario game is Super Mario World, which is the one for Super Nintendo. That's the one where you first get Yoshi. And that's a game that last time I played it was maybe 10 years ago. But even 10 years ago, that's when we already had, like, I think the Xbox and, like, PlayStation 3 and GameCube, right? Even then, like, it still held up. Like, it's such a good game, and it's a long game. Like, there's just so many levels.
Yeah.
And this made me want to just play those games, like, all over again. Or, at the very least, like, the new iterations of the Super Mario game. Because, I mean, that's where the animation kicks in. Like, you still get that platform feel of some of these, the way they design some of these scenes. Where you feel like you're either playing a game or you're watching someone play the game. It was fun. It was just a really fun film. I'm surprised how much when I left the theater, I was just like, oh, this was a treat. Like I really thought I was going to hate this film.
Why?
Because critically, it hasn't been doing well. Like critically, it's been panned.
Because it's just fine.
Yeah, and that's fine. But like, it's not just fine though. It's fun. It is a fun movie. Like
It's a fun movie.
I think maybe the critics just never played the game.
Well, you know what it is, though, is that I feel like animation films are kind of moving past, like, they were kind of very template-y for a while. Mm-hmm. And now with movies like Into the Spider-Verse or Mitchell's and the Machine, it's growing as an art form. And it's actually starting to be not something just for kids. It's like, it's evolving. And
Good.
this film feels like, a very typical animated film from 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, it kind of feels somewhat like, okay, like, I think other animated films have kind of evolved, and this one feels a little slightly like it came out 5 years too late. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that might be one of the criticisms that I think critics are seeing. Like, wow, I thought we were past this type of animated film, and yet here we are.
Well, I mean, but that's not... I don't know. I don't know if that's a fair thing to put on this film because, like, you're still going to need to create content for children and, like, younger audiences, and that's what this delivers on. And on top of that, like, you mentioned this thing that I actually want to just talk about real quick. This idea of, animation is getting more adult. Well, animation, what do you consider animation to be? Do you consider it to be a genre, or do you consider it to be something else?
Well, I do consider it to be a genre, but I also think that's an interesting question that you pose because like is
'Cause I don't-
documentary a genre?
Yes.
So yeah, then it's 100% a genre
No, that's where I
instead of
disagree.
just a stylization.
It's actually, so I would argue, yes, fine. Maybe documentary films fall under genre, but technically speaking, I think they might be a medium. They're not a medium, though. The medium is film and video, where animation is the medium. It's not film. It's not live action, right? It is a whole different ballgame, which is not the same as a genre. Does that make sense? Like, it's not like when you're reading a book, you're reading a book. When you're reading a comic book, you're reading a comic book. When you're watching an animated film, because you're not tied down to the limitations of what you can physically do, you're literally limited to your imagination. Therefore, it is like a whole different ballgame from like just regular storytelling.
Yeah, although I see what you're saying and I get it, like, but animation can exist in different mediums, not just film. Like, if animation only existed in, I don't know, that's a little tricky because, but animation exists in television and animation exists in 3D or whatever. Like, it exists in different mediums. So can mediums be in different mediums?
Well, no,
Like,
but that's what I'm saying. I don't think. So what I guess I'm trying to say is just like I don't necessarily think that like because a show is animated, like is it a different type? Is it a show? Yeah, it's still following the conventions of a show, but because it's animated, it does allow itself to not necessarily fall to what you might expect of a show. It can be look at BoJack Horseman, right? That's a weird show. Like it's not tied down to this convention of what we think a sitcom is supposed to be. And I think that's where I think that's what is one of the flawed things of how we kind of approach animation in this country. We think of it as usually just for kids. Usually. Not exclusively,
Absolutely.
but usually just for kids. If you look at the Eastern cultures, like, you know, think of Asia, they kind of recognize that animation is not a genre. It's a whole different medium and stuff that you could tell these stories that can be for adults. You could tell these stories that can be for kids. And then they get broken down into their own genres in that form of anime. And I thought, yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is just like, it's not fair for the critics to just put down this film just because it was created for kids. I mean, Nintendo,
Right.
let's be real, is a kids company. Like, they put family-friendly stuff first and foremost. They're like Disney in that sense.
yeah. But like if you were to compare it to something like Into the Spider-Verse, that's also for families. And yet it's kind of transcended at least the formulaic approach that animation films have that are geared towards families have been feeling like.
Right, but that's also because I think the creators of that one felt it's just like, hey, we're making an animated film. Like, why are we stuck? Why do we have to make things look so pretty? And they decided we can do like we're trying to tell a comic book story. Well, we're trying to tell a comic book character story as some way in a way that we have not seen before. This is how we're going to approach it, and I think smart on them, right?
No, for sure. I agree.
So I guess for
Okay.
this, where I'm just trying to go with this is like, you know, okay, so maybe this comes down to like the Oscars, right? Like there's a category for just like best animated film, but it's just like, well, what does that mean? Like like there's so many forms of animation. Like how do you just narrow it down to these usually 5 either Disney or Illumination Studios movies?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway,
usually
did
the
I-
adult animated film will never win. Because people don't watch adult animated films as much as they want to go see a family-friendly geared one. So,
yeah. Well, how do we get into this? Oh, the critics didn't like it. I thought I was going to hate this film. I loved it. I thought it was wonderful. I think it's
it was
It's
fun.
just-
It did
yeah.
what it set out to do.
Yeah,
it
it
was
did.
entertaining and it was nostalgic.
I
And it
kept
was a good
wondering
night at the movies, yeah.
I kept wondering, like, yo, where's Yoshi though? Like, when we saw Yoshi's,
We saw the Yoshis in the background, yeah.
but where
I was a little
Yoshi? And his egg hatched in underneath Brooklyn. That was the final thing that you missed.
Oh, so he's going to be in the sequel.
It would be soon, right? So we saw. I don't know if you caught it, but like one of the wedding gifts for Peach was a Yoshi egg and stuff. And then
Wow.
I guess after the kerfuffle that happened in Brooklyn, it hatches underneath Brooklyn and stuff. So I'm curious to see what they do with it. I'm curious to see what you do with Yoshi, because Yoshi is a fan favorite. It's never been one of my favorite characters, because Yoshi just like, all Yoshi does is like, Yoshi. This is like, all right. I never liked Yoshi Island, for example. One of my least favorite games.
I love Yoshi. Pew pew, or whatever that noise is.
Yeah,
I love him so much.
That noise is cute. But yeah, no. Overall, what a fun film. The wedding was so funny. Like, just like having all these like big characters bringing the wedding gifts and stuff. This movie was just a trip.
Mom. Yeah, it was. It was.
And
I love when they were like, "You don't deserve it, but you're all invited to the wedding," and then that one penguin's like, "Yay!"
Yeah, because you'll be sacrificially sacrificed.
Yeah, and then they lose their mind.
It was, this movie was good. I actually also liked Anya Taylor-Joy
as Peach. Yeah, she was good.
She was good. And I'm glad they didn't make
Peach, the helpless princess, need to be rescued from a tower.
But they also didn't like make her a girl boss either. Like it felt like a regular person. Like she was neither girl bossy, but she wasn't either a helpless damsel in distress.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm like, perfect. This is good.
Yeah. It was a nice twist that Luigi was the one in peril. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was fun. No complaints here. When they were on the Rainbow Bridge, I was like, this is all I ever wanted. So.
Yes.
And now all I want to do is play the
Eddie's
Rainbow
question
Bridge
to me was
level.
like, oh, is this what Mario Kart is like? I'm like, kind of, yeah.
It's better, though, because you're playing it. Instead of just watching it.
And hence why video games
that was
are like
a pretty beautiful scene.
a different
Oh, yeah. The rainbow, seriously. And all the references to Mario Kart with them throwing the banana and then throwing the turtle shells.
The blue shell.
Like, yes.
That was
also,
a good
what's
reference.
with like the level ups, or what were they called?
Power-ups.
Power-ups, because, you get the red one and you get the strength, you get the blue one and you shrink, right? But if that was the case, I guess I was confused as to why in the final battle Bowser didn't do it, since he could take the power downs and they shrunk him down to size, but he never did a power up to make him bigger. Like, he would have been undefeatable.
Well, they threw him into like a little glass container after he shrunk.
But before that, in the like when Luigi and Mario had like the ultimate like star one.
Oh, well, were there any power-ups available around?
I think so. I mean,
probably
Brooklyn. They were in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Already at that
They
point.
were.
Yeah,
in
but
Brooklyn
that was when they got the power up of the star level. So I don't know.
Because
I
he
mean,
brought
it's
the
just
star.
little things like that.
You're looking for plot holes here.
I remember asking myself that during the movie. I mean, it's fine if there's flaws. I'm just saying that was one of the things that I was like, okay, it's a little bit of a nitpick, but
Yeah.
I questioned it. I was like, conveniently, Bowser never has a power up.
Much like the 1993 film, it started off in Brooklyn, and like the big final part of the final battle takes place here on our planet, just like the 1993 film. I wonder if that was intentional.
Well, also the fact that they enter this parallel universe in like the sewers of Brooklyn.
Yeah,
I was
also,
like, huh.
Yeah,
Reference maybe?
Maybe we
I
are
hope
seeing
so.
a remake, but this is categorically a reboot for
Yes.
sure. Do you think this is going to open the door to other Nintendo IP adaptations, such as Kirby, such as what I have been dreaming for since I was a little kid, a Legend of Zelda?
Maybe. I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Mario have done exceptionally well.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog is another franchise that had like a video game that was a video game movie that really took off. And that one, I know we never covered it on the podcast. I wanted to, but we just never got around to it. That one was one that was interesting because like fans bullied the studio to change the design of Sonic to something more recognizable.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know?
I remember that. Yeah. So much so that they reference it in Chippendale.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
And it's funny because I think that's what people were trying to do with Chris Pratt with this film. Like they were trying to bully the studio into changing Chris Pratt, the voice actor and stuff. And
yeah. Well, people don't like Chris Pratt anymore. That's a thing, right?
It's because he's associated to a church that I think may be homophobic. He's never done anything homophobic yet, but being associated with the church is not a good thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like Church of the All Christ or something. I don't know what it is.
Interesting. Okay.
The All Spark.
Eddie, you are a new co-host. What are your opinion here on Super? You've been quiet.
Definitely enjoyed the movie. Action packed. Love the action in this movie. Love the way it was animated. Really found the brother love endearing. Like how Mario protects his brother Luigi, and then Luigi finding his courage, when his brother is when his brother's down, Luigi takes that heroic action. So I found that pretty beautiful. I'm looking forward to the character development if this becomes a franchise later on. My favorite character is Donkey Kong.
Yeah, he was good.
Oh.
I think that was really cool. I think there's so much there. He has that bro thing going on. He makes his pecs dance. I love the way how he was like, is that the way you're flirting? How he was goofing on Mario when he was talking to Princess Peach. So very much, I really like that character, and I would love to see that. Like, even them becoming like, even seeing their friendship develop, like playing off each other. So even though the plot was pretty simple, I did enjoy the action. I enjoyed this much more than I thought I was going to. Definitely did. I was invested. I even the freaking Rainbow Bridge kart scene I thought was like the best. Fast and the Furious kind of thing.
We gotta play Mario Kart now and play that.
It was like,
so fun.
Do you have it? I think I have it. I actually do think I have it.
I have an old 64. I gotta take it out. I have a 64. So.
Do you have Mario Party? Which one?
I just gotta make sure it works. I got the original Mario Party.
Did Mario Party 3? Because I think that is the best one.
I only have the first Mario Party.
Damn, we got to see if we can track down Mario Party 3. That's such a good game. I love Mario.
I'll play any Mario.
Yeah, so. Like it's those are fun games and stuff. So yeah,
yeah, Nintendo, take my money.
Basically, after I was ready to play this. But no, I guess what I was asking is like, do you guys think that do you think they're going to go the Marvel route of trying to introduce all these solo films and then give us a Super Smash Brothers like type Avengers film?
That would be fun. Well, I mean, Illumination has done like how many different Despicable Me films Minions have gotten their own. So Illumination is not gonna shy away from that. Which also I appreciate the fact that when it said Illumination, it did the Mario Kart noise. The bun, bun.
Oh,
bun,
right. Yes.
So yeah, I'll watch it. I'm there. This is my franchise right now. So
I just hope that Universal owns Illuminations, right? I think.
Yeah, or at least they have a partnership.
Yeah. Oh, I just hope that they don't go the route for like the Legend of Zelda to give. I think people have been wanting a live action adaptation of the Legend of Zelda. I'm just like, no, don't keep it.
Animation would be better. Yeah.
Animation would be way better.
I actually think more things should be animation. Like I think Wicked should have been an animated film.
I think we've talked about this on the podcast. So Wicked should be an animated film versus a live-action.
Two-part live-action film, yeah.
A two-part live-action film? I feel like every time you mention it's two-part, I'm always surprised.
Yeah, why? Because it's such a bad idea. I don't know, because they deemed it necessary.
2 parts? Jesus, go the Mario route of... Well, I guess you can't go... It's... I was going to say, like, do the Mario thing and just make it, like, a short, breezy 80-something minutes.
Yeah. Hey, I think you could sacrifice songs. Not every song in Super Mario... I mean, Wicked is a banger, so...
Yeah.
But...
At least you said that. Not me.
Yes, and quote me. Guys, did you see Super Mario? Are you a fan of the 1993 movie and think it's overrated like we do? Did you see the new movie and have a blast?
Underrated. You said overrated.
Oh, my God. Freudian slip. Did you see the new one and did you have a blast at the movie theater? If you haven't, what are you waiting for? And what are you waiting for on sharing your thoughts with us? These are the ways that you should reach out. Email us, remakes, reboots, and revivals at gmail.com. Hit us up on Instagram at remakes, reboots, revivals. At Twitter at remakes podcast. You can search for us on Facebook and YouTube for remakes, reboots, revivals, and we will come up. And if you have a podcast listening platform that you prefer, go on there and give us a rating. And if you can... write a little review. We would appreciate it greatly.
Yes.
And that's pretty much all the ways that you can reach out.
And by following us on our podcast, you would have probably seen me tweeting, on Twitter.
Tweeting on Twitter. Yeah,
I was tweeting on Twitter, as one does. But Eddie and I were watching. We were in the hotel last week, and the movie White Chicks was on HBO. So obviously, I left it on. But I was just like, Eddie, this is a movie that deserves a remake, and my remake ideal would be, what was it? Shit. Hang on, I may have to go back to my tweet because I think you might love this, Nicole. Hang on. This is a treat for everyone who stayed behind and has listened.
That's a treat indeed.
Okay, here's my idea. My remake idea: White Chicks, but instead it's 2 black women who have to impersonate 2 gay white twinks in Fire Island. Right? So you keep the main plot of like they have to investigate a murder. What do? I feel like this is just ripe for commentary and yeah, wouldn't that be a great movie?
That would be. You know, a movie I really want to see is The Blackening. Did you see the trailer for that?
No, what is
Where
that?
It's a bunch of like friends in a cabin in the woods, and then it turns out that they're being haunted. They were being taunted by someone who's forcing them to play a game, and it's like a horror comedy. And because they're all black, it's like making fun of the fact of all these like horror movie tropes about black people. It looks pretty funny. So
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I've actually I started watching also, for example, Insecure and stuff. And my God, I can't believe I have not seen the show. It's so good.
She's
It's
great. I love
so
her.
good. Issa Rae, wonderful.
Yeah.
And the guys are just so hot.
I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Well, guys, thank you for listening. And until next week,
stay
stay
unoriginal.
original.
Eddie, you have to say that now. You know.
Oh, I didn't.
You're a
Yeah.
co-host.
Stay unoriginal, guys.
Hey.